Hey everyone. Okay, we're about to get started and we're about to jump right in. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I know folks are still joining the session. So quick introduction. Welcome to our client portal training, Simplify Client Collaboration in Financial Sense. My name is Anthony. Today I'll cover how you can save time working with clients using Financial Sense, inviting them to the client portal, sharing docs with them, etc. So we'll walk through 5 key components of the portal. We're going to cover client tasks, how to automate data collection and get responses through a client request, shared folders. This is to securely store and share documents with your clients inside of the client portal. Month-end transactions for review, so you can easily ask your clients about transactions like uncategorized transactions. Client chat, to quickly ask your clients questions about work, and billing to collect payments from your clients inside of the client portal. I'll show you what each component does, how to share them with your clients, and what the client experience looks like from their end. So by the end of the session, you'll know how to use the client portal, how to keep your clients engaged, reduce your back and forth emails, and speed up work completion through the client portal. We'll finish up with a Q&A session, so keep your questions coming into the chat or that Q&A section on the right-hand bar, and let's go ahead and get started. So I'm actually going to be jumping into the Financial Sense portal, and we're going to get started with client tasks. So let me go ahead and switch right over. And we're going to start inside of a project. Now, client tasks, this is where you can assign work directly to your team or a specific client. So inside of this project, I have a monthly bookkeeping project for Adeline Collins. This work is for my accounting period, October 2025. Now, the due date on this project is November 15th. So you can create a project and have it recur automatically on a monthly basis. Within this project, I have 2 main sections, a client task section and a team task section. This client task section is meant for my clients to complete. So I can create tasks, assign it to my clients, they'll log into the client portal, complete their tasks. I'll be notified when they complete their tasks, and then our work gets started. Okay, so to create a client task section, all you have to do is click plus client request over at the very top. This will create a brand new client task section. Now, if you're working off of a template, you don't need to create this from scratch, right? So if you create it from a template, uh, this generic list of tasks, client tasks, automatically get created with your project. Now, each client is different, right? So you can customize your client task section for all of your clients. Bear with me a second here. Okay, so so this template kicks off with 3 sample tasks. So here we're going to go ahead and add a new task. We're going to securely request documents, and I'm going to update this to say upload bank statements from Chase 3456. Right, that way you can be a little bit more specific with your clients as to what documents you're looking for. One of the options you'll get here when creating a client task is, do you want these documents to be uploaded to Financial Sense or to another document system? So in the event that you do use another document system and you've shared a folder with that client already, you can leverage this to another document system option to have your clients go to that shared folder. I'm going to keep it simple, leave it in Financial Sense. That way, our documents, our collection process is all automatically stored inside of Financial Sense. I'm going to create this as a client task, and now I have a new client task within this section. All right, um, let's say I've finalized my list of client tasks that I want to share with this client. If you notice, we have a little tag up here indicating that the client task has not been sent to the client. We have a couple of options. If you click the schedule or send option on the top right, you have a couple of different ways to send out this client task. You can choose to send it now, so instantly send a request to your client. You can schedule the client task, So if you click schedule, you can choose a start date. So if I wanted to be, if I had created this at the beginning of the month and choose to start at the end of the month, I can schedule it to go out on the first automatically. If you choose a dependency, this allows you to automatically kick off this request if you have a prior section to this client task. Once that section is completed, it kicks off this client task section. In this example, this is my initial kickoff with the client. There are no sections prior to this section, so I wouldn't use a dependency in this example. I am going to go ahead and click the send now option and send notification. Now, what this does is this instantly sends an email to your client. If we scroll all the way to the bottom of this list, there's a notification section. Here I can identify when the last notification was sent and if there are any reminders enabled for this client task, right? So this will let me know when the next reminder is set to go out to this client. Now, some of the options you have prior to sending the client task request to your client. So in between here are customized client notifications. So if I wanted to be explicit in my instructions to the client, I can leverage email templates and add additional verbiage or instructions to the client for specific instructions for the client task. So you can set up the template, choose that default template, and that is the email template that will be sent to the client. I can also choose which contact at that client location this request should go out to. So if you're dealing with a specific contact person for the client's accounting or payroll, right, you can send it, choose and select multiple contacts or choose a specific contact based off the need. You can also select the representative, so you can choose who this request is sent from. Okay, so I've sent out this notification. I'm going to move this window over, upward. So your client will receive a request like this. Mine looks a bit odd because there's dark mode enabled, but it'll be a cleaner layout. As the client, I can go ahead and click and view manage tasks. Now, this is going to take me to the client portal. It's going to have me verify the client. Just waiting for that to load. Let's try that again. Okay, there we go. It's going through. It seems like my browser is acting up. Okay, let's close out and let's try that again. So let's minimize this. Let's open a new tab over here and paste that link. Same. Okay, we'll let that load in a moment, but let's go back here real quick while that loads. Probably seems like my browser's struggling a bit. Okay, so let's close out of this window here because there's another option that we haven't covered, and that's reminders. So if you wanted to remind the client to come back in and complete their tasks, and let's say they haven't completed their full list of tasks, they can always you can always go in here and set up reminders. So whether you want to remind them once a day, once a week, once every other day, you can set that cadence here under send reminders. Again, you can choose which email template to send to the client and close. So once you turn this on, this auto reminders option will be set to on, right? So if I go back to schedule or send and scroll back to that notification section at the bottom, now I can see that the next reminder is going to be set on the 13th since I've set the reminders to once a day. This makes it easy for you to not have to chase after your clients to complete their tasks. So if I unload it here, So once they click on the link, it's going to ask them to verify their account. Their account. There's no password. This is a passwordless system for your clients. If I press continue, it's going to send me an email as the client. I just need to go fetch that verification code. And I've actually set up SMS. Let me double check. Oh, there it is. So your client will have to go to their email, fetch the verification code, enter the verification code in here, and it's going to take me to the next step, which is the actual client task, which I clicked from the email. Okay, perfect. So now as the client, it took me directly to this project, monthly bookkeeping, October 2025. Here I can see my full list of tasks that needs to be completed as the client. All I have to do now is if I have any questions here, I can clarify, add a comment. This is a test. And send it off. Now, as the firm user, I'll receive a notification whenever a comment is added or whenever a document is attached. I'm going to go ahead and attach a document. Okay, so they can either leverage this attached documents button or they can drag and drop into the portal. After the document is added, it doesn't mark the task complete automatically, but I do get a reminder as the client to mark the task completed, right? So this is to ensure that clients are properly completing their client tasks. I go back to the monthly bookkeeping project as the firm user. I'll be able to see those updates directly in the client portal. For any new comments, it'll show a little badge icon. So here it is. Here's the task. I just uploaded a document to it. If I open the client task, here I can see that here's the file that they've added. And if I refresh this page, I'll see a little red badge icon. Here's the test. And I can reply back to the client. The client will receive a notification on this comment or reply to the comment. And if they're inside of the portal, they'll also see it on their end as a reply. So here is my comments. And then, so you can interact with your clients back and forth, leveraging the comment section inside of client tasks. Okay, so as I mark all my tasks complete, you'll also receive a notification that your client has completed all of their tasks for any project. If I go back and refresh my page as the firm user, I will see that this entire client task section is now complete. If I go to schedule or if I go back to schedule or send a notification, you won't even see any options available as all the client tasks have been completed. So if I go to schedule or send, all tasks have been marked complete. Therefore, reminders will no longer be sent to this project, right? So it automatically will stop any reminders going out to that client. Therefore, you don't have to worry about any unnecessary notifications going out to your clients. As the client, when I'm logged into the client portal, over on the left-hand side, I can see historical requests, right? So let's say as a client, I leave this page and one day I want to return to the client portal and look at historical requests or any on open requests. So by clicking on requests, there's a completed request section. This is the one I just completed. So if I click into it, I still have access to everything that I previously uploaded here and any historical conversations. So I can click comments, view what was what we chatted on, and go back and view any other requests that we've completed in the past. So that's the first module. So client task requests. You create a project, you create a client task section, you schedule or send your client task request to your client. And once that's complete, I can now start on my team tasks, right? This is my initial set of documents required in order to start this work. I've been notified that the client has completed their tasks. Now I can go ahead and start working on my tasks. All right. I'm gonna pause here to see if there's any questions on related to client task requests. How can clients access the portal without using their email? So an email is required in order to access the client portal. We don't have a blind drop feature if that's what you're looking for. But the way it works is if your clients are going from an email link, it'll automatically try to authenticate them with the verification code, just as we walked through earlier. Now, let's say they're going directly to the client portal via a link, not necessarily from an email, but a generic link. Here, I can enter my email as the client, press continue. This is going to send me a secure link to my email address, and then I'll be able to verify my account. So here is some of the notifications I received. Okay, so here's the new link. As the client, I click access your secure portal. And it took me right back to the client portal as this client here. Okay, is there a limit of the number of contacts you can add? No, there are no limits to the number of contacts you can add. Here's a demo client, Adeline Collins. Under contacts, here's all of the contacts I have associated to this client. This is a long list, nor a lot longer than what I've seen on regular customer accounts. If you need to add a new contact, all you have to do is click add, enter their name, their email address, and quick tip, if you use additional notes, you can specify what this person's role is at that firm. So if I edit one of these contacts here, so Jonathan, edit contact, and I can add CEO/owner and save. And this helps you easily identify what this person's role is at that client location. CEO, save. Let's refresh and try that again. Okay, so edit contact, additional notes, CEO, and save. There we go. Okay, so there it is. And I think I did that probably in the wrong contact, but yes, so you can have as many contacts as you need. Which of these processes are included? And inside of Financial Sense, you can have as many projects as you need, as many templates as you need. We don't charge you for the number of projects or clients that you have. So here's all the templates that you have available. Anytime you need to create a new project for a client, if you haven't created one and set it to automatically recur, you can add on any page, go to this plus create button on the top, click project from a template. You choose the template that you want, select the clients you want to apply this template for, and it'll create that project automatically for you. Is there a way to tell if the client emails are going to his or her spam? We don't have a way to capture that information directly in the portal. We do have an audit trail inside of a project. So if we go back to the project for Adeline Collins, inside of a project, if you go to Actions, Client Audit Log, here we do track when the client has accessed the portal. So here's when the initial notification was sent. Here's when me as the user accessed the client. Let's see here. Oh, actually here. Here's when, as the client, when I uploaded it, when I marked the task complete, and then when I marked all of the other tasks complete. So while you won't be able to tell if the email went to spam, you can tell when they viewed the tasks and also when they completed the tasks. If you are solo, how does the team task area work? So inside of a project, you still can create a client section and a team task section. This is just the initial verbiage for creating a team task or a task section. This is just your internal list of tasks that you need to complete. You can name this section to however you need, but essentially these are your internal list of tasks to right? So at no point will your client be able to view this list or see this list inside of their client portal. They will only be able to see what you sent to them via the schedule or send button. If they were a contact that you had initially sent this request to, only that contact will be able to send. Even if you have multiple contacts, if you only select one or two contacts, those contacts are the only ones that will be able to view this client task list. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next component. If I go back to Adeline Client's profile, there is a files section. So this files tab here allows me to create folders for this client. If you look to the far right-hand side, we have a couple, so this little person icon, if it's lit up green like this one here, that means this folder is currently being shared with the client. If it's not lit green, that means it's internal only, not being shared with the client. So if I wanted to create a new folder and share with the client, here I'm going to call this financial statements. Okay, here's the one I just created. I'm going to click into this one, and we're going to create a new one for 2025, and one more for November. Okay, by creating folders, it does not automatically share that folder with your client. So I'm going to go back up to the financial statements folder, and here it is. You do see an item count, so this tells you how many things are within this folder. I'm going to go ahead and share this with the client. So to share it with the client, just click that little person icon, scroll down to the client that you want to share this with. You can give them two types of access. One is view, which gives them the ability to view files and download files, and then upload, which gives them the ability to add files to that folder. Okay, and then lastly, you also have the ability to enable upload alerts, meaning anytime someone from your team adds a document to this folder, your client will be notified. Again, you can select and choose which contacts should have access to this folder. That way you get granular on your permissions. And then once you're done, oh, sorry, at the very bottom, you have team notifications. So you can select who on your team should be notified whenever this client adds a document to your folder. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save. And now the very last step is once you click save, you can share and immediately notify this client, or you can choose share only. Now, the difference between the two is that if you're not necessarily ready yet to let the client know that they can log into their folder, you would choose share only. Me as the client, whenever I go into my client portal and look and review my list of client folders, I'll automatically be able to see that folder. But if you want to notify your client immediately, then you would choose share and notify. If I click share and notify, it's going to email me as the client. Let's go ahead and switch back over. Okay, here it is. Anthony has shared folder. I'm going to click view documents. I'm already logged in, so it's going to take me directly to that folder. No need to verify again. And here it is, financial statements 2025 and November. If you've shared a report with them, they'll be able to easily access and download that report from here. Or because I gave them upload access, I can just go ahead and upload a file to that folder. Now, a frequently asked question we get about shared folders is, well, what if we're dealing with an owner with multiple entities? As long as you share folders with the same email address for that owner, they only need to log into the portal once. So over in the top right here, I'm logged in with this email address. Adeline Collins is the name of the client I shared this folder with. But because I've leveraged this email address across different clients, if I leave requests and go back into documents, here I can see all of the clients that I've been given access to with this email address. So if I'm an owner with 3 different entities, I'll be able to see those 3 entities if I've shared a folder with that client for each of those 3 entities, right? So here is, let's go back to Adeline Collins. Oops, wrong client. Adeline Collins. Here's the financial statements folder I've shared with this email address and the rest of my folders here. Okay, if we go back to the firm user, again, You'll be able to see the full list of folders. You can see which folders have been shared externally. As a reminder, green means it's being shared externally with a client or a contact. And if it's not lit up green, it's for internal use only. Okay. I'm going to pause here and see if there's any specific questions for shared folders. Can you demonstrate a search for a file in the client with folders? So you were trying to search for a specific file, and let's go ahead and I know I had a .pptx file. So here's one of the files that I've uploaded inside of the project. I'm trying to remember the exact name of the file, but I simply searched an extension of a file. So yes, you should be able to search by file names, and it will yield results on your files. Here's the actual file I've uploaded to that monthly bookkeeping. If I click on it, it'll take me to that project, and that file is an attached file inside of this task. If I click files on this project here, here's that file I was looking for. Is there an audit log for reviewing documents not in a project? We don't have an audit log for clients that have viewed files outside of a client project. That is coming up. That is on our roadmap. The closest thing we have to it right now is client uploads. So this client upload center, it splits it into client uploads into a shared folder and client task uploads into a client task, right? So if I click client uploads, here's all the most recent documents clients have uploaded to me via a folder. I can sort filter by clients. So if I'm looking for a specific client, I can do so. If I wanted to do it by a specific date, I can also filter that this report by date. But currently, we don't have a option that says if a client has viewed a file. If they've downloaded it, that's a different story. Actually, we don't have an audit log for if they downloaded a file. But again, that's coming soon. How does it work when one email is associated with multiple clients? We addressed that earlier. So again, if you associate the same email across different clients inside of a contact, they only need to log into the client portal once, and they'll be able to see all of their information across clients inside of their client portal. Okay, moving on. So the next thing I want to share is uncategorized transaction. So month-end close, which in one of our prior sessions, Sharon went over month-end close, which is one of our newer features. Here we'll be able to set up a couple of transaction review reports and quickly flag transactions that need to be reviewed and corrected. You can self-correct these directly inside of the Financial Sense portal. So if I modify something here and then approve it, it will send those corrections straight back to QuickBooks Online. But now let's say you had a question for your client and you needed more direction, more guidance as to what this transaction was for. There's a column here that says client answer. I'm going to modify this question here. And actually, I'm going to just, what is this transaction for? Just going to copy that question, click save. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and share this with the client. Before I share that with the client, let's make sure that I've enabled this contact to receive these requests. Okay, so here's my transaction review, uncategorized transaction. Again, this is pulling in transactions with my specific accounts from QuickBooks Online. I have a question on this specific transaction. Now, this is, let's go ahead and it's already being shared. I'm just going to unshare and reshare it just to make sure I have proper access as the client. Okay, I'm going to switch back. Your client is going to receive a notification about the transaction. I'm going to refresh this page, but what we'll see is a new section here called transactions. And these are transactions that you have shared with the client. They'll see the question that you've asked them, right? They'll see the details of the client, of the transaction. They can attach documents directly to this transaction, whether you need a receipt, and they can answer this question directly in the client portal. So this is not the transaction I shared. Let's go ahead and let's read in June 24th for 9663. Okay, 9663. And send updates. Okay, so as the firm user, you'll receive an email automatically when your clients submit any updates. I go back up here and go back into my uncategorized review here. Here I'll be able to view any, let's see, I'll be able to view the answer here. So client answer, office supplies. So I can properly categorize this inside of Financial Sense, choose office supplies, and then click confirm. And again, that will send right back to QuickBooks Online. Okay, next up is client chat. So client chat is an easy to use communication tool inside of FC. You can kind of eliminate the back and forth on emails, and you can start client chats with your clients. Now, one of the cool things about our client chat feature is you can start new topics. So you can start different topics. If you communicate with the client via a project, you'll also be able to see those projects, those chats with projects inside of this centralized client chat tab here for your client. So I'm going to start a new topic, and we're going to call this monthly bank statements. Maybe me as the firm user, I have a question about their bank statements. You'll select which contact you want to send this to. So we're going to go with my demo test client again. And then you can specify who on the team should converse with this client. So that'll be me, myself, and I can loop in anyone else inside of this chat. We'll go ahead and create this topic. Here's my monthly bank statements chat topic. Hey, Anthony, can you reshare your bank statements with me? Right, so you can use it to request documents with your clients. Okay, so here's the chat. I kicked it off, sent my first message out. As the client, I'm going to receive a notification of that new chat topic. So here's the message notification received. If I click view message, it's going to take me directly to that chat inside of the client portal. Again, I'm already logged in, don't need to re-authenticate. Here's my chat topic, right? So, and all my historical chats with this client. So if you do have a case where you have a contact associated to multiple entities, we do still organize your chats by specific clients, right? So if the client wanted to view just for Adeline Collins, here I can specify Adeline Collins. Here is the chat. There you go. And then I can upload a folder directly to that client chat. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and drag and drop this time. Or actually, let's go to paperclip route. Okay, so I'm able to send the file directly through chat as the client. Inside of the firm portal user, if I refresh this page and go back to the client chat, I'll have an unread notification icon, and here it is. So now I can review that file directly inside of this client chat. Okay, very straightforward tool. Again, to create a new topic, just go ahead and click new topic, give that chat a name, a topic name, and then send out to your client. Okay, so just checking for quick questions here. Just going to the bottom of the list. So does the portal work with QuickBooks Desktop clients? Currently, right now, it's only for QuickBooks Online. And then other question around uncategorized transaction. If it should be responded by multiple individuals in the client's office, can we split and assign uncategorized transactions to different individuals? At the moment, you cannot split and direct specific transactions to specific individuals. You only have the ability to enable which contacts should receive access to those transactions, but you can't assign it to a specific contact. Okay. Moving on, let's talk about billing. So we do have the ability to collect payments from clients directly through Financial Sense. So you can create invoices, you can create recurring invoices, you can track time inside of Financial Sense. So you can start a timer, mark it billable, assign it a rate, and then track billable time for that. And then you can use our unbilled section here to view and filter for time tracked billable time that you've tracked into the portal. Right, you can set a specific date range. It'll return all of your billable time entries. You can select all of your time entries and then quickly create an invoice through this page here, which would create an invoice with all those time entries for your clients. Now, this is probably a little bit too long, probably overwhelm your client. So you can group your your billable time entries by a service item. And then you can update your service, your description. It adds up all of your billable time amounts. And again, you can bill your clients off that track time. But let's take a step back. So I am going to switch back over to Adeline Collins, and we're going to go to billing. Now I'm going to create a new invoice. You have the ability to create invoices from a template. So if you do have a constant invoice or type of invoice that you send out to clients, you can create a template and send it out that way. I'm going to start this from scratch. So you can choose which client, you can choose the contact. So I'm going to choose our demo and send it to just the one contact. You can send how frequent to send this out, whether it's just a one-time invoice or a recurring invoice. So let's say this is a monthly engagement on the first of every 1 month. You can change this, right? So you can do monthly, quarterly. If you wanted to do quarterly, you can do monthly on the first day every 3 months. So that is your quarterly engagement. You can do this yearly. Again, you're pretty flexible as to how often you can send out this invoice. You can specify when the first invoice should go out to the client. So I can schedule this to go out next month on the 1st, or you can send the first one to go out today, but going forward, it will send out on the 1st of every month. First invoice November 12th today. The next one is going to be December 1st. I can set this up to auto charge the client. If I have the payment method on file already, I can choose what payment method that is. So if I choose auto charge, I can choose a payment method. If it's not already in the system and you have the payment information, if you've already have permission to pre-authorization from your client to automatically charge them, right? You can go ahead and click plus new payment method and add their payment information, whether that's credit card or bank. Okay, or if not, you can send the invoice to the client, and then one of the options you'll have is once your client enters their payment information, you can enable that payment for auto pay in the future. That way they're not having to enter your payment details over and over again. They'll just set it once and then set it to auto pay going forward. Excuse me. Okay, delivery method. Your clients can receive this invoice via email. They can or SMS. So they'll receive a link to pay their invoice via SMS. You can specify which payment options to choose, whether that's allow ACH transfer, credit cards, and if you want to collect partial payments. So let's say your invoice of $500, let's say they can only pay $250 upfront. You can choose allow partial payments. You can set what the minimum is. So if they do want to pay partially, you can set what the minimal value is. You can also set up client reminders so you can remind the client about their invoice every 3 days or however often you need. And then here's where you build out your invoice. So here's, I'm just going to choose that as today. We're going to do $150 service. Client one. Okay, you can choose to charge tax. You can add a discount if this is new engagement with a new client and you have a 10% discount for that first engagement. We do have the ability to add credits into our billing system. So if there's like a correction in their billing, you need to add like a $20 credit, you can add a $20 credit to offset some of this balance here. We also have retainers. So you do have the ability to collect a retainer fee from your client upfront and then use that retainer balance in the future for future invoices. And then I'm going to go ahead and preview and send. Okay, so here I can choose the representative, the subject, and the email, the body. It gives me a preview of the email, a preview of the invoice PDF that they'll receive, and an example of what the payment page would look like for the client. I'm going to go ahead and click Send Invoice. And there we go. Invoice is kicked off. The client at this point is going to receive an email with their invoice. So here's what the email looks like. So here it is, invoice, our invoice number. We do have the ability to sync invoices to QuickBooks Online. So your invoices and payments and credits will all sync to QBO. And if I click here, now invoices is the main thing that will not require a verification. So if I'm not logged in to the client portal, it'll still allow me to go straight to the invoice to pay that invoice. If I am signed into the client portal already, it'll just load my menu options over on the left-hand side. If I wasn't logged in, I wouldn't see any of these menu options on the left-hand side. So here's the invoice. I can choose and specify to pay by credit card, bank transfer. If I choose to pay by bank or ACH, it'll in a moment ask me for my bank information, so routing number, account number. And once I proceed, I'll go ahead and pay off the invoice. From here, I can view the invoice and download or print the actual invoice itself. If I accidentally close out of this window, I can always go back to this invoice, whether by the link from the email, or if I'm inside of the client portal, there's a billing tab over on the left-hand side. If I click billing, here I'll see my outstanding invoices. So I'll see a list of all of the invoices I had historically, what's been paid, what's outstanding, and the total outstanding balance on the top. I can view my payment methods. So let's say I get a new credit card, I can go ahead and add that new credit card here. You'll be able to use that payment method on your end. And then lastly, proposals. So we do have the ability to send and collect signatures on proposals and engagement letters. And the way that looks inside of our portal is when you go to billing, there's this proposals and engagement letter section. You can create a proposal with a client or prospect. So here, let's work with Adeline Collins again. So we're going to click Adeline Collins. You can set up proposal templates. I already have a proposal with different packages that the prospect can opt into. Again, we can choose the contact to send this proposal to. Here's the name of the proposal. I can always rename this when the proposal should start, whether it's on acceptance or on a specific date. If I want client reminders to be sent out to this client, And this is all online. So this is electronic. So this proposal will be presented to them online. We can include an introduction video, our introduction message. I can choose what services to include or offer in this proposal. And you can do different packages. So I have a basic, standard, or premium package, right? So basically, as you get in a higher tier package, it comes with more services. Additionally, you have the option to make a service optional. So this is an upsell opportunity directly built into your proposal. So maybe you have a one-time service, maybe a one-time cleanup or one-time audit job that they can opt into at the beginning of their engagement with you. You have the ability to set this optional. In terms of payment, you can specify what type of payment they should that you accept. Then lastly, your actual terms and conditions or your engagement letter. If you already have this typed out, you can copy and paste that in here, or you can attach your actual engagement letter via this PDF file. Okay, so once you're ready to send this out, you go ahead and preview and send. Here's the preview and send to clients. Okay, so I've kicked off that engagement letter, that proposal. We're going to switch over to the client. Okay, so here's the proposal. Again, you do not need to be signed into the client portal in order to view this proposal. It takes me directly to the proposal. Let me make that full screen. And this is all, again, online. So here's the introduction. Here's the introduction video that I've set inside of my project settings. Press continue. I can view the layout of all the packages that I can opt into. And then on the next page, I can actually see the actual services and what the service entails. So if you want to get very specific with what's included with each service, you can add those service descriptions. And then if I scroll down to that optional service here, one time, I can add that into as an optional service. Okay, so here is where you can collect their payment information. As I've left the required payment details, I can actually skip this. And then last, they can review the terms, accept and sign. And accept. All right, so from here, they can go directly into their client portal. If you've shared any docs, they can review those docs. Inside of the portal, well, I'll receive a notification that they've electronically signed the proposal. And then secondly, if I go to my proposals section here, I can see that the proposal has been accepted. If I click into the proposal, I'll be able to view, I have an audit trail of when they signed and viewed the proposal, right? So this has an audit trail, which helps keep you compliant. And you'll also be able to download a signed copy of that proposal. Okay, so a couple of questions here. So I'm just going straight to the bottom, answering, if a client has a retainer on file already and I'm sending a proposal with a dollar amount, how do I apply that existing retainer against that new proposal? So that's a great question. You don't apply the retainer on that proposal. The way it'll work is that when they sign a proposal, it'll create an invoice that goes along with this proposal. So if we go back to billing, it'll have the new invoice. So let's pretend that it was this invoice here. If you go to edit invoice, I can go ahead and so there's a whole process for this retainer. So initially, you would collect the retainer upfront via an initial invoice, and once you've collected that retainer from that initial invoice, you would come back in here, add your retainer, which is indicated by this this icon right here, and then I'll be able to add or apply my retainer towards this invoice, which essentially cancels out, offsets this actual invoice here, right? So It's a little bit more in depth. We have a lot of tutorials and guides around retainers, right? But that's a really, really good question. If we're going to integrate QBO, will the products and services port over and therefore be able to be used within proposals? The answer is yes. When you connect your company file to Financial Sense, inside of the QuickBooks Online integration settings, there is an option to import your service items. They automatically import inside of your account. If I go to billing and settings, you'll be able to see those service items here, right? So where it says integration, that means that they've imported from QuickBooks Online. You'll also be able to see what account they're tied to. So this is especially great for being able to direct deposit fees to a specific account or credits to a specific account and retainers as well. That way it's properly categorized, or excuse me, so that the data flows properly inside of QuickBooks. But yeah, so here, once inside of Financial Sense, if you edit this, we can also modify what the invoice description is. So anytime you bill off of this service item, it'll autofill that service item description. And then lastly, this service description is for your proposals, right? So this is your very detailed components of the actual service, what it includes, what it doesn't include, and this is all you update this here. Anytime you add that service item to proposal, it'll include that service description inside of that proposal. Great question. Are these tutorials on my system? We do have a client portal overview, and we'll go ahead and copy this into the client chat here. Let's bear with me a second. So I just added our client portal overview link, which covers everything that I just covered on all the different ways that you can collaborate with your clients. So it's a great resource to have handy. Does this include a meeting schedule? We don't have a meeting schedule system inside of Financial Sense. However, if you do have some type of service like Calendly or some type of meeting booking software, you can leverage that and connect that with your client tasks. And here's what I mean. If you create, it's a little, I like to call it. So if you have a Calendly booking link, you can leverage this option at the top, securely request documents. We're going to call this schedule a meeting with me. Now here's where this button comes in handy to another document system. So I'm going to call this schedule time. And I'm going to add, we're going to copy this link. Can I copy? Yes. I'm going to add my booking link here as where it says add shareable link and create client task. Okay, so I'm going to schedule and send this to my client. We're going to send now. Okay, so as the client, I am going to switch over to the client portal. Okay, so here's the new request. I'm going to view and manage tasks. And so here's the request here, schedule a meeting with me. And then if I click schedule time, it's going to take me straight to that booking calendar. So while we don't have a built-in booking system, you can connect an existing booking system as a request. So if you require your clients to schedule a call with you, you can add your link as a task, schedule some time with me, and they'll be able to book a time with your existing bookkeeping system. Great question. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so that wraps up our conversation for today. Hopefully you've gained a lot of valuable knowledge from this. I've shared the resource for your client task section, for your client portal, and it covers everything that we've covered today. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our support team. Thank you all.